Hey guys, welcome to On My Shelf. Today I'm talking about two middle grade novels that have to do with magic and adventure. Once Was a Time by Leela Sales is a story about time travel. Charlotte Bromley is separated from her best friend of all time, Kitty, when she jumps into a portal and time travels 70 years forward. Her story initially begins in the middle of World War I, when her father is captured because someone is trying to figure out how to use time portals, and he's the only one who knows. Charlotte and her best friend attempt a rescue and find themselves in danger. Charlotte is the only one who makes it through the time portal. She travels to a completely different town and is adopted by a family, becomes friends with some of the popular girls at her school, all because of her British accent, and tries to adjust to the reality in which she finds herself. But she can't forget Kitty. So she embarks on an adventure to find her best friend, following clues that may not really be clues, and coming to terms with the present that she might not have ever wanted. Once Was a Time was such a sweet story of love and friendship and the ties that bind, even across many years and cultures. I've noticed that in a lot of middle grade fiction, romance has begun to creep in, but this story was so innocent and focused only on the friendship. Charlotte was faced with a decision about who she wanted to befriend in her new school, the popular girls or the boy everybody called weird. She faced all sorts of obstacles in finding Kitty again, but love would not let her give up. Everything about this story, from the time travel aspect to the themes of love and friendship and kindness, was lovely and sweet. Sophie Quire and the Last Story Guard by Jonathan Auxier was a book I've been anticipating since it released. I've become a superfan of Jonathan Auxier, having read both The Night Gardener and Peter Nimble and His Fantastic Eyes. I knew that I would like this one, and I was not disappointed. Sophie Quire is a bookbinder in the city of Busselburg, working at her father's shop, Quire and Quire. She comes upon a mysterious book called The Book of Who. From this, she figures out there are three other books, the Book of Why, the Book of When, and the Book of What. She and Peter Nimble, who is the greatest thief in the history of time, set off on an adventure to find the other ancient books and protect them from the book burning that's happening in Busselburg because the powers that be want to rid the city of nonsense. The story is full of magic and adventure and fascinating descriptions that bring the imaginary world of Busselburg and the lands beyond it fully alive. Sophie Quire was such a well thought out tale, which is what I've come to expect from Auxier. One of my favorite things about the book was that it was broken up into four distinct parts: who, what, when, and why. Each part, of course, had to do with Peter and Sophie trying to obtain the book with the same question in its name. It made for a very linear structure. One of my other favorite elements of the book was the voice of the narrator. Sophie Quire was told in omniscient point of view, which, if you've been around for a while, you know that I absolutely love. I enjoy hearing the voice of the narrator in certain tales, especially magical adventures. This narrator was at times humorous, mysterious, and wise. Something else I really enjoyed about this tale was that Auxier included a lengthy author's note in which he listed some of his influences when writing Sophie Quire. It's always interesting to me to see what sorts of things writers use to make their stories better, and also what inspired them to dream up the story in the first place. His author's note included several titles that I've added to my reading list. And the last thing I really loved about this book was its beginning and its end. Auxier is a master of drawing readers immediately into the story and then sending them out with a bit of hope. Here's the opening of Sophie Quire. It has often been said that one should never judge a book by its cover. As any serious reader can tell you, this is terrible advice. Serious readers know the singular pleasure of handling a well-made book, the heft and texture of the case, the rasp of the spine as you lift the cover, the sweet, dusty aroma of yellowed pages as they pass between your fingers. A book is more than a vessel for ideas. It is a living thing in need of love, warmth, and protection. This is probably one of my favorite first lines ever. And this is probably one of my favorite closing lines ever. I would like to tell you that Quire and Quire remains open to this day, but that would be untrue. The shop closed eventually, and its marvelous talking books soon made their way to other lands and other readers. Most of these books have grown shy in their old age, preferring to sit quietly on the shelf. But if you ever find a very dusty book on a very out-of-the-way bookcase, put it to your ear and listen closely. What do you hear? The faint rustle of pages, the creak of an old spine, and the hushed song of a story waiting to be read. I hope you enjoy these book recommendations. Be sure to visit racheltolson.com to see some of my best book recommendations and to get a free book from my own starter library. If you have any books you recently read that you think I'd enjoy, leave them in the comments and I'll add them to my list. For more On My Shelf, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.